Hi everyone, I'm Ali GREYMOND. Today we're answering questions about OCD recovery. So the Q&A is going to be audio, and then the video is about, covering specific topics and just answering specific questions where the entire video is talking about a topic. Those will be a video just because everybody's asking me to do theme specific videos, and by the time I'm done answering all the questions, I've already been filming for 2 hours, and it's difficult with the amount of sessions I'm obviously having. So that's what we're going to do for now, but I think this way is going to be better because that way I get to cover more questions and cover the questions more in depth as well. So I hope you guys are okay with it, and let's get started. First question is, I'll get an intrusive thought about causing sexual harm to people and not realizing it. I'll be performing a task at work or at home, and I'll get a thought and then images and sensations in my hands. So I start to push these thoughts away, causing me to feel so anxious and fuzzy in the situation I'm in, which leads to my OCD saying, well, maybe you did cause harm but don't remember because your brain was fuzzy from all the anxiety and panic. So, okay, and you got to understand that these situations are all silly, right? The thoughts are coming in, you can get sensations, you can get images, I mean, your mind is trying to find any possible way to get you to react. And the person is also saying that it happens moments after, the thought happens moments after the situation. Could that happen? Or, is that normal, right? And, in terms of false memory OCD, it can happen right after, like the thought can happen right after, the thought can happen like from something from a long time ago, right? It still is a false memory. It can come in any way. If you're questioning it and saying, what if something happened, trying to piece it together, if you're getting an urge or you felt an urge in the situation and now you think maybe you forgot, it's all common stuff. I hear it in sessions on, I wouldn't even say daily basis, on, every other or every third session, I would say, is some false memory related situation, so this is by no means unique. But the problem is that the more you choose to panic, or the more you choose to react, rather, the panic is coming automatically, but the more you choose to react, the worse this will get. Because basically you're saying to your mind, yes, this is valid, this is important, please send me more of that, because you're saying that you're scared, you're saying that you need to try to figure it out, you know what I mean? Your mind, that part of the mind doesn't understand the difference between valid thoughts and invalid thoughts. It only looks to you to understand the difference. So if you teach it that something is important when it's not, or something is valid when it's not, it's gonna run with whatever you're saying. So if you say that, I'm scared of this red balloon, and you say it enough times with enough panic, you are going to get scared of it. And this is kind of same situation how when, say, for example, a person sees a scary clown and all lifelong fear of clowns or something else, you know what I mean? Like that, it's same type of situation, where it just, the more the person says, well, no, I'm scared of this, I'm scared of clowns, for example, right? I'm scared of them, can't do it, the panic comes in stronger. The neural pathway between fear and your specific situation, or this type of situation where it jumps from one to another, but really same thing, it builds. So you can't engage in these thoughts. Yes, they're coming in. Yes, the anxiety is coming in. No, you can't engage. No reaction to it. Yes, it's there, but it's the same thought I have all the time. I'm not dealing with this anymore. I'm not investigating it. I'm not analyzing it. I'm not trying to figure it out. I'm choosing not to engage in any possible way. And then eventually you will see that these thoughts will start to lose power and start to go away. Because right now, the reason why you're feeling anxiety is because before you were reacting so much that neural pathway, that connection between fear and the thought has already been created. So that's what you're experiencing now in terms of panic. You're experiencing already what's been created from, how much you panicked so far. But right now, you're showing your mind how it should behave in the future. So if you stop reacting right now, you'll still experience anxiety for a little bit, but as time goes on, you will see that it starts to let go. It starts to get easier to do this. In the beginning, it's always the hardest part. As you get through it, it feels better. It starts to kind of lift a little bit. And just one more thing I wanted to mention about this comment is that, don't get into caught up into the topic of the thought. It's just a random thought that got stuck. The reason why it's this specific thought, because you are a good person and this is the worst possible thing you can imagine, and that fear of the worst possible thing you can imagine is the reason why it got stuck. So it's kind of like you care too much, and then that's why your OCD grabbed onto it. Do you know what I'm saying? So don't let it scare you because it's this topic or that topic. It's just OCD. It's all just OCD. And the other thing is too that today it could be this topic and tomorrow your OCD jumps onto something else. So you have to see any thought that that's kind of within your theme or themes, that you're likely to get, right? That if you are getting it, if you have a lot of anxiety attached to it, it's the same thing. Start reacting from the very beginning. You wake up in the morning, thought comes in, you're like, nope, not buying it, not dealing with this anymore, and then going. So next question is, hi Ali, I feel determined to fight OCD and get my life back, but my fear is that it hits me back again after years, and I'm like, why bother making efforts if it will just come back? Okay, so here's the thing. It won't come back if you understand how OCD works. You have to understand, first of all, that people, any person, as they, I say in the shows, and that's, they're doing studies on it, people get 50,000 thoughts a day. It's kind of a rough figure, but it gives you an overview of how many thoughts people get a day. It's not people with OCD, this is generally anybody, right? So out of those 50,000 thoughts, if you take, say, for example, 50,000 people, some of them are going to be kind of strange, right? Some of these 50,000 thoughts can be strange. It's okay. That's normal. That's part of being a human. So but it's your reaction to a thought that is goes against your belief system, but that you start to really panic and pay attention to the thought, and it gets stuck. That's the problem. So if you start to understand this mechanism, that as soon as you get stuck and you start to analyze any thought, doesn't matter what it has to do with, but you get very obsessive about it and trying to figure it out and trying to relieve anxiety, it's going to get stuck. You need to heal your brain. Once you heal your brain, none of this is going to affect you. So I would say, and again, because I do have so much experience helping people recover from OCD, I can give you a pretty good analytics of how it usually works. And I would say that the relapse of the thoughts coming back again, the highest probability would be within the first 6 months after recovery. And I would say within the first, second, like as the months go on, it becomes less and less. But first 6 months, you have to really watch where your thoughts are. So I would, just like I was saying before, it takes a few months for recovery. And then after that, I will watch it for 6 months just to make sure, okay, because stress can cause OCD. So if you're going through stress, you have to be very careful that you don't get on some random topic, start obsessing about it, start getting into it. Somebody mentions something that can trigger you, and you can also get caught up in it in the beginning. I mean, also there's outside factors like drinking a lot of caffeine doesn't really help recovery process as well. But I can tell you, I've had I don't know how many shows you've listened to, but my OCD was through the roof. I mean, I've gotten myself at one point, I was to a point where I couldn't leave the house. That's how bad it was. So, it's not like maybe your OCD was mild. No, mine was not mild. Believe me, it was not mild. And I would, before any stress, any 1 cup of coffee in the morning, anything like at all that would bring up stress hormones would really set me off. I mean, I couldn't handle anything. I was that fragile. And now, I mean, you could see my stress level is through the roof. I'm drinking, I don't know how many cups of coffee a day. I'm not proud of this, but it is what it is, And I can tell you that I don't get triggered ever, So it does go away, and it is a permanent thing. Don't let anybody tell you it's not. I mean, take it from me, take it from people who are posting under these videos. I mean, there's people posting. I'm actually getting more testimonials, so I can post testimonials on my website of people who have recovered, just so you can see that as well. But it's just one of those things, right? You just have to keep going, keep pushing, and don't let doubt get to you. I find that a lot of the times people also really start to worry about the recovery process to the point where it becomes a theme in itself, where the person is obsessive about the recovery process. So try to kind of be careful with that as well. But no, yeah, you can make full recovery, and the thoughts won't come back. I mean, right, if you're saying right now thoughts come back, yeah, the thoughts will switch and shift from one to another. But as you fully recover, they won't actually come back anymore. So next question is, hi Ali, thank you very much for all your work. It has done miracles for me. Just wanted to ask whether you've ever heard of a person with OCD who developed actual physical symptoms of illness he's been obsessed with. For example, if someone has PRO about having diabetes, is it possible for him to start having symptoms of diabetes? I'm not seeking reassurance. I'm convinced I have OCD. Well, okay, so when a person is worried, so for example, if a person is worried, what if I have cancer? That doesn't like has OCD about worrying about having cancer. That doesn't obviously excuse that person from having cancer in real life. So what happens to the person in real life and their OCD fears when it's something out of their control? Another example would be. What if my significant other is cheating on me, like cheating OCD? Well, we don't know your significant other specifically, and we don't know if he or she would do that. But regardless, you still have OCD that you need to deal with, because if, say, something bad actually does happen, and then you recover from that something bad, whether it's just like I mentioned, you're getting some sort of illness, or somebody does something, after you live through that event, you're still going to have to deal with OCD. So OCD will just jump on to a new topic. So we're focused on OCD recovery specifically, and not on preventing especially with health OCD, right? So a person can be worried about diabetes, then they worry about a different illness, then something else, then something else, then something else, right? So it just goes from one to another, right? So in terms of OCD mimicking diabetes, yes, it can definitely mimic a symptom. And because, with a lot of this stuff, the symptoms are some confusing and can be similar and things like that, it's hard to interpret these things, and OCD very much plays on it. So you have to, it's exactly what you said. You have OCD, it's about diabetes, well, or I'm assuming because you're asking a question. That's what you have to deal with. So any thought about diabetes is OCD. Any feeling that gives you high anxiety, you think it might be diabetes, it's OCD. So you're treating it that way. You don't have any actual reason to think you have diabetes, I'm assuming, right? Like valid reason, like a doctor told you have diabetes. Anything beyond that, that's OCD, right? So not buying into it, not buying what it's trying to sell you, And so treating it like that, because you need to get over the OCD problem. But, of course, bad things can happen to all of us, So, but regardless of what happens, you still need to get over OCD, because even if something bad happens to you, like I said, OCD won't go away afterwards. You'll still have to deal with it. So you have to deal with it now. Next question is, hi Ali, I know that OCD is there to protect us and send us thoughts that feel real to push us to react. But why does it also sometimes make us feel that we lack empathy and we might actually like the bad things or harm we might do to people? So your mind is just trying to connect the fact that you feel like this is real, but really that, you wouldn't do, like, this is not part of your makeup, So it's sending you an urge and saying, well, maybe you would, well, you know what I mean? So it's doing those kinds of things. Or maybe you lack empathy, and they will try to sometimes connect it to some example, such as, well, remember that one time where you lacked empathy? Well, maybe you lack it with this. Or remember that one time where you behaved bad? Maybe you behaved bad with this. Or remember that one time where you forgot something? Maybe you forgot this, like in terms of like false memory OCD. I see that a lot, you know? So it's just trying to connect the two. You have to view it as a symptom. Don't react. Don't give it attention. Don't power it up in any way. You will see that as you refuse to do it, it will start to lift. You know, so it's just making a choice to refuse. So these are the first questions that I could get in for this video. Like I said, I'm trying my best to get them out every day. I know I took a kind of a unplanned break, but I am back. So I'm gonna post under the questions that you guys ask. I'm gonna post which day it's gonna be a part of, just so you know when to expect to see it. Thank you so much for watching. If you would like to start the recovery program, all the information is on youhaveocd.com. Please subscribe, and I will see you in the next video.